Good morning. We are in Hilchis Betzayach. We are in Hilchis Betzayach, Shmiras HaNefesh, Perek Tes Halacha. And I want to discuss the halachas of Egla Rufa. Now, Egla Rufa, just to give an introduction, there are two parties involved in the midst of Egla Rufa, and there are many different parts to the mitzvah of Egla Rufa. We're going to divide them up into two mainly. The medida, in other words, what happens? A body is found middle of the way, and obviously the case is that this person was killed. The question is, what happens? Now, obviously, we're not talking about the criminal investigation. We're talking about which of the cities carry the burden of possibly kapara or whatever else they have to do. So in order to establish that, there is a process called medida, which is measuring, and there is a process called egla rufa, the actual taking the egla and process that goes along with it, larif the egla rufa, and take it to the special place, and what happens afterwards, and all those halachas. So let's read the Rambam on Perek Tes Halacha Aleph and Halacha Beis. Harug shenimtza neifro ba'aretz v'lei noida mihi kol. Person was found that we don't know who killed him. So what's the halacha? And I hear the Rambam is unique, different than everybody, as we'll see. In fact, different even than what we find in Chazal. Don't touch him. Five of the Bezdin, five representatives and people, let me say representatives, five members of the Bezdin HaGodol in Shalim. They go out, as it says a pasuk, he brings the pasuk. Umoidedin mimenu el hahorim shesvivas hahol. They count, they measure from him to the cities surrounding. So afilanim tzivatzad ir zu shadavi du b'vadash yakrev mitzvah is a mitzvah to measure. Now that's halacha aleph. Halacha beis achash meidim meida ha'ir akriva kaivan esanagim keimei v'chayzik nishalayim keimei. They go back. They bury him, and then the Ziknei Shalayim go back. Then Bezdin Shaloi say here, maybe an Eglas Boker, they bring the egg, read they say Nachos, Reshet Hadokim, Zel Ace and Almabata. Now, the rest of the Perek deals with the Medida, all kinds of halachas. Next Perek deals with the bringing the process of what the Ziknei Ha'ir have to do. Okay. Now, if you look at the Sefer HaMitzvahs, the Minyan HaMitzvahs, the Protei HaMitzvahs, the Rambam doesn't mention anything about Medida. When he wanted to define the mitzvah of Egla Rufa, it is Laref Esa'eg, to kill the Egla in the way that it has to be. Okay. So there seems to be some disconnect between what he writes here and what he writes there. Now, there's one more halacha just. In halacha Gimel, he says, I'm sorry, not one, it's two separate halachas. Halacha Gimel, he talks about the Arifa and the Atlat. And he goes through the description and what they have to do, and the Chaper Yisrael and everything. Okay, so if we're only know the Minyan HaMitzvahs, somebody would ask us, what is the mitzvah over here? I would tell you, Larif is to kill the ish. In here, in Hilchos V'Tzedach, the focus seems to be that the mitzvah is not Larif, but the mitzvah is to the mitzvah is to measure. That's the main point. And doesn't talk about Arif at the Halacha Gimel. And also, as we said, he divides up the two Perokim, Tes, Perokim, in different halachas. The word mitzvah appears only one time on the measuring. Mitzvah limit, mitzvah. Okay. Now here's the Rambam says, you leave him in his place, right? And then Bezin comes, measures, and buries him. Now, when he says Bezin comes and measures him, buries him, so obviously leave him in his place. Then he writes, after you measure, and we know which city is closest, then you bury him. And then the IYUN from Yerushalayim return. And this is a Gemara in Seita. And it says that the Nifter Ziknei Yerushalayim B'Hol Chulam, they go back, and the Ziknei Ir, maybe an eggless buck. So Rashi says, why? Why do they stay for the whole process? Because their job is only one thing, limdate. That's what they come for. They come to measure. So the question is, why does the Rambam then tell us they should go back? That's it. They measure and go back. Obviously, we'll take care of the Kvura. And to say that they didn't go back because of Kavod Ames, that's not Hilchos Egla Rufa. Kavod Ames belongs somewhere else. And it's talked about somewhere in a lot of places. And that's all technical issues, but let's not talk practical, halachic issues. Yishalmi and Seita, and the Tosefta says, Kate Satayos, very different than the Rama. Shluchei Bezin Yitzin, Faket, right away. Shluchei Bezin went, Umalaktin es Simanav, Umaychrenaisa, meaning Muchrenaisa. They gather. I guess you never see a crime scene with pictures being taken. I don't know, there were pictures in those days. And they note the simonim of the mace, so they'll be able to identifying simonim. So they get to recognize him, and then they bury him. And it's sign in al-Kirre. So why? And in other words, they make a note of where he's buried and bury him right there. And so that the people from the Lishkas HaGozes, the Bezin HaGodel, should come and measure. So the Karmeda says, listen to this. If a harag is found, they take note of any identifying indications of this person. His wife should be able to get married. And then they bury him. They may claim him right where he was killed. The Meis Mitzvah kind of McCann, because he's a Meis Mitzvah. Meis Mitzvah is supposed to be buried right where you find it. Sign and al-Kirei, and you make some kind of a indication so people shouldn't get tummy. And he says, and then they made another simon that he should know exactly where they should start the Medina, because the Medina starts from certain parts of the body. Now, therefore, comes along the Marapunim and the Yishalmi and asks on the Rambam. Rambam has a opposite type of understanding of what's going on here. Rambam says that you bury the Nerag with the Bezna Godel, and you let him sit there. And he asked a question. I'm not telling that the Kesef Mishnah never said anything about this. What's going on there? The Minchas Chinuch, Mitzvah Tuf Kuf Lamed, asked him also from the Tesefta, the ads. He has another kasha. It could come out that the Chas V'Shalom, this person will lay there for a minute, for it could be a couple of days, it could be even weeks till the Bezna Godel Shirlaim comes. They have to go notify them. I mean, there was no text, there was no communication. They have to notify them, and then they have to come. He doesn't say it, but it's a busy mace. He got a great busy mace. And then he asked, why does he pass it that way? And we don't find Bavli arguing on that. Well, I'm not sure. I could have read into Bavli that he is arguing, and that's what I believe he did. The Rambam writes, well, obviously, that's the whole purpose. So what do we have to? He wrote already why because we have to know which city he came from. And he should have said, and Kaber and Vachazer. Now, the Chinuch, and it's a tough kuflamet, seems to note a couple of things. He writes that the mitzvah of putting him, taking care of him, doing everything, it says because that's the medida. So it comes like this. That the fives came from Yerushalayim measure. Aleihem mitzvahs amedida. Ba'al ziknei ir mitzvahs ha'egol egel. Urechitzas ha'yadayim. U'kriyas ha'isnaksul. So he divides it into two sets of mitzvahs. There's a mitzvah of medida. There's a mitzvah of egel. One belongs to Ziknei Yerushalayim. One belongs to the people. So he himself says himself. He starts off the mitzvah, the mitzvah Arifas Egla, and then later talks about Medida. Why did he mention Medida if he says mitzvahs Medida? So I think what the Chinuch is struggling with and explaining is that there are two bodies to this mitzvah. The Medida body, which belongs to Bezna Godel Yerushalayim, and the Eglarufa body. So something is the main mitzvah, obviously. The other thing is the the tafel, is what branches out of the main mitzvah. So therefore, he believes that the main mitzvah here is arifas ha'egel, and that's the mitzvah for the ziknei ir, the schorim. The medida, according to the even he calls it a mitzvah, is a hachana mitzvah. It's the what brings about, it's needed in order to get to the real mitzvah. In order to do the eglaruf, you have to know who's the responsible. So that's the job of the Bezna Godel Yerushalayim, to create the responsibility. So it's only a hachon agdoma to the mitzvah. I think the Rambam in Hilchos V'Tzayach is mechadish that medida is not hachona and hagdoma to bring it, but the medida is the mitzvah. Medida is what it's about. Arifas ha'egla is the result once you've had this mitzvah in place, and that's why the lashon mitzvah is written on medida. The main halachas in Perek Tes on medida and about the mace, and then there's the dinim of eglarufa. Now, there's a lot to be said about this. Why? What? But I want to just. The first thing is that when you see the lashon of Bavli of the Gemara in Seita that we started off with, in the Gemara Seita, the Gemara says right? Where's the Lashon? Seita. Why Seita uses the Lashon? And it's why Seita uses the Lashon that Bezin measures and they leave, right? Bezin measures and then they leave. So the Gemara says, yeah, Niftu Zik Shav Halchulam. So this is it, right? Niftu Zikni Ishlam Halchulam. And he says, he says, Niftu Zikni Shav Halchulam. Zikni Medina Gusavak. So Rashi goes through the mother, but the word is, that doesn't sound like they're the ones that do everything. They come and then the Zikni here get involved. Whereas the Chinuch seems that the Ziknei got involved, or the Yishalmi, the Ziknei got involved first. I also want to stress another thing. The Gemara in Seita, Memhei, where it says that only the Ziknei here, the Ziknei Yerushalayim can come and not their Shluchim. They can't send pages. They can't say Shluchim. Now, there's a Tesi Vomis Kufal from Beis that wants to say that this is one of the places that you cannot. He answers the question. There's places where you can't have shlichus by yibum, by other things. So he says, why don't you learn out that shluchus shalom is not kamaisa? So he says that there's kamla ksuvim aboim ke'echad. And one of them he says is eglarufa, that you can't have shlichus. And then he says minach is there's a samach yod shluchay and afaris and according to one opinion. So the Taisus understands that when we say hen v'loy shluchei hen, it's like anyone else, like yibum, smicha, first and dar. It's a din. It's the battle of the din of shlichus. So he wants to know the kind is Meir, why the Rambam doesn't bring this halacha hen v'loy shluchei. So basically, Solveitchik wants to say there's a shemish and there's no portions. Because yeah, they have to do it. What's the portion? Maybe they send shluchim. So the mitzvah should be gufan. Perhaps the Rambam doesn't learn that handle shluchei is memayit shlichus. It's not coming too much, and he wouldn't agree with Taisus that it's one of the places where you say Shnei Ksuvim Bar Kechad, that this would be one of the psukim. You have enough without it. Handle shluchei is not saying that. Handle shluchei is that you need bez. This is a din and bez, and if it's a bezin act. That can be done through shluchim. It's a nice bezin. Yeah, Bezin wants to do a certain thing, Bezin wants to carry out their psak. This is their psak. This is the psak Bezin. Bezin can't ask him for shlik. Bezin has to do it. It's like a psak Bezin. Another mitzvah should be gufam. This act is an act of Bezin. Just like any psak does. Bezin is going to relegate the psak and say, we're going to leave it over to this guy, whatever he says, he's going to be our shliach to paskin. He can't be our shliach to paskin. He can be the shliach to carry out the psak. Here, this is the best psak, sort of like a psak best. So the Rambam holds it's not shaykh to say that others go and bury him, and this is a besdik act. So if the shluchei here would bury him, and they would make markers, and they would do that. They're part of the Medina. No, Medina belongs to Beis Nagadol. They can't do any, nobody can touch them. They gotta do everything because they gotta take care of them. If they will make markers, they're part of the Medina. Medina is an act of Beis Nagadol. It's a psak of Beis Nagadol. They can't touch. They can't be the ones deciding where to mark them, where to decide from. They can't be involved. You can go a step further and say that the Rambam holds that the Medida itself is not only Medida, it's the people taking care of the Chalal. The whole process of taking care of the Chalal belongs to the Bez Nagab. That's what happens. It's a Klal Yisrael thing, and it belongs to the Bez Nagab. And that's why he says, don't touch them. It's all there. Everything has to be done here by a unique group of people. And the whole people is Shaykh the Bez Nagab. And therefore they bury him. They're the ones that bury. They're the ones that make sure he gets buried. It has to be done with them. Because this is all the people of the and that'll answer maybe the next question. It can be weeks, yeah, but it's covered on ace. It's the ultimate covered on ace. That Bez Nagab is involved in it. It's taken care of it. And that's why when he says, and they bury him because that's all part of this taking care of the dead person. Now, the Rambam could be sees it different than the Chin. The Rambam, the mitzvah is to take care of this harug. Once you take care of the harug, now there's a kapara aspect. Go get a kapara. And that belongs to the city. In other words, the kapara aspect doesn't even come into being. That's why the Rambam writes the mitzvah is medida. Once you know the medida, then you go right. I want to note that the Rambam seems to stress that the main purpose of the Egla Rufa, the whole tumul we make with the Egla Rufa, is that people should find out and therefore be able to find the person who did it. And the Ibn Hazm says differently. They focus on the Ramban. They focus more on the kapara aspect. So it could be the Rambam not shayul that the kapara can't be. It's a pasuk says it's a kapara. But he also it's a separate point. That's like that is mitzvah from the But is a public manifestation that'll cause people to come forth, and it'll cause be able to find the hirik. So if that's the process is bringing down the Mesna Godel, that's all, and taking care of the harug. That's all part of the Pearson. I mean, that's the Mitzvah. And the fact that there's a kapara, that's like a tafel to the mitzvah, according to the Rambam. I guess that's just a side point, but I think it seems pretty clear that according to the Rambam, the dida is the mitzvah. That's the key to the mitzvah. That is the key to the mitzvah.